in this lesson, we will finalize our shot. So at this stage, we just want to look for anything we might add or change. I'd say for the most part, everything is looking really nice. If anything, we can add some movement to the ship's gun. So it's almost as if the pilot is getting ready to undock and is preparing for his flight by having the gun, let's say, rotate up. So that's its flight position. We could also add some movement to the thrusters on our turbines. But even before that, I'd like to add some subtle changes to our camera so it doesn't seem so stuck in place. Let's go back to our layout. We'll grab our camera, and remember, we want this to be very subtle. If we move it too much, it's going to be distracting. So let's go to frame 1, and we'll press Shift W to set our initial key. And we'll go ahead and space this out quite a bit. On frame 44, we'll go there and have the camera, let's say, move down and forward just slightly. I've also moved it a little bit over to our left. Great. And now on about frame, let's say 93 or so, we'll just go ahead and have it move up and back a little bit more. And then we could add a little bit of movement on, let's say, about 132, very slightly, where we just go ahead and have it kind of shift down and forward just a little bit more. And now we can check our graph editor. You can see that we're getting a shift here happens in just a few frames, so we want to smooth that out. So what you could always do is remove the keys just before 132. So let's go to the position, go to our translate channels, and we'll again delete these keys before 132. So that will smooth that out some more. Great. Okay, so next, let's go ahead and finish up by animating the gun and our turbine blades. So selecting our ship again, we'll go ahead and just animate the pitch axis. We want this offset from our other keys. So let's go ahead and on about frame 99 or so, we'll go ahead and just set a keyframe, and then we could have the gun rotate up a few frames after that on 107. So we'll go ahead and just bring it up, not all the way, but just so it kind of straightens out. So we could always use about a value of 6. But then we'll want a bit of recoil so it just doesn't look as if it rotates and then stops. We want it to feel as if a weight is affecting the gun's rotation. So on 114, I'll have it rotate down just very slightly and then rotate up ever so slightly, not as much. And then just to check for that, we can go back to our graph editor. Let's go ahead and take a look at our custom channel, the pitch axis. There it is. We'll frame in, pressing the F key. And now let's go ahead and tweak this by adding an overshoot on frame 107, where it goes up just a little bit higher, just to cushion that out a bit more. And then on about frame 114, we'll go ahead and bring the out tangent down, again to smooth this out a little bit more. Great. So that looks nice. Alright, so once we're satisfied with that, we can now go ahead and work on our last task, which are our thrust blades. So here, we want those to kind of kick in as the ship starts to take off. So let's say as we move into our anticipation, at about frame 141, we'll go ahead and set an initial key. And then just a few frames after, as it starts to move forward, we'll open those up all the way. Now we could add some recoil on 156, where we just bring them in just a little bit more here. but not all the way, just very slightly in. All right, great. So here is what we end up with. What I'd like to do is turn off joints in the shot camera. We can also turn off IKs, everything that would be a distraction, so we could just focus on the shot. So we could also turn off curves, and if you like to hide your interest, feel free to turn off pivots. If you want to hide the group object, you'll want to turn off handles. And then at this point, we can go ahead and run another Play Blast. So we'll head over to Window, Play Blast Options. Everything should already be set. So we can go ahead and start one off. And as it renders in a small view, this is a great way to keep track of your timing. But here's our end result. And that is very nice. So in a matter of just a few lessons, we have created a really nice sequence using the techniques and tools that we've learned throughout the animation section of this series. Beautiful. Well, at this point, we're ready to move into dynamics. That's going to be another fun topic. Again, you'll learn how to do things like add a particle emitter to your hose to have gas emit from your mesh. So this is going to be, again, some cool stuff that you're about to learn with Kyle. So I'd like to thank you again for sticking around and watching both rigging and animation. Make sure to go over the videos again if you aren't quite clear on some of the concepts that we have covered, just to make sure that you are comfortable with them in order to use them for your own rigs and animations. So with that, again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next training course.